Some people say building a business is hard. Well, I would not use that word. I will, however, say that building a business is a lifetime journey. You literally will encounter failure sometimes, success sometimes. What matters is what you're able to make of those moments and whether you're able to build a sustainable business out of it, a business that can be handed down to the next generation. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Chris-Amusan. I'm an online marketing strategist and I help coaches and course creators create a marketing system that helps them attract and convert premium clients into their business. If this sounds like something you need, remember to hit the subscribe button so you get notified every single time I release a new video. I drop videos every week. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my own story of how I built a 10K per month online business in less than 10 months. And guess what? I was 23 at the time. So I'm making this video today based off of popular demand. Every time I have conversations with my clients or people in my audience, they're like, oh my gosh, Kiva, I didn't know this about you. Like, why don't you talk more about your story? And then you would think that based off of the marketer that I am, I know that storytelling is powerful and I should use that tool more. But I guess sometimes as a doctor, you're just not a good doctor to yourself or whatever. So yeah, this is my story. My journey to entrepreneurship started when I was a student, right? I decided to study medicine. The reason for that was, first of all, because I was very brilliant. In this side of the world, once you have genius tendencies, everybody's like, oh, you either have to be a medical doctor or an engineer. So that was like the case for me. I wasn't forced or anything. I accepted to do it. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to save lives. Being the ambitious person that I am, I sort of attached like big dreams to it. I was like, oh yeah, this means I'll find the cure for HIV and whatever. In fact, at the time, I didn't know that doctors were not the ones that went into the lab to find cures. But yeah, that's story for another day. Anyway, I went through med school and, a few years into med school, for various reasons, I just knew that this really wasn't for me. I had a lot of extracurricular activities at the time because I was in the choir. So I was one of those students that wasn't always in school. And I think that just because I was engaged in a lot of extracurricular activities, I was able to find myself. And that was how I found my love for marketing. So I recall that I was in the choir and then we needed to get uniforms. And I had a plug from AliExpress at the time. I had found this ebook on how to earn money importing stuff, which I had started doing. I used to import hairbrushes, shoes, dresses. And so we needed to get lovely evening dresses at the time for an event in the choir. And I had a plug, so I assisted with that. In the process of assisting, I stumbled upon a wedding dress vendor. So my first most successful business endeavor was actually starting a bridal business. Now take note that prior to this time I had done so many things because I wasn't afraid. I was young, I was fearless. I had learned how to make hair. I had worked as a head chef at some restaurants because good cook. I had done so many things, but this was the one thing that I really set my mind to. And I remember this was my first encounter with running a high ticket business. It hits different because prior to this time, all the things I had been doing were small items where I was just making a small profit. Like the first wedding dress I sold, I remember that profit was like more money that I'd ever handled at once. And I realized that, oh my God, this is what I want to do. I want to deliver a product that is valuable to the person who needs it, but it's also giving me a lot of money. It's not just giving me peanuts. I remember that when I built this jewelry business, I was in like a very backside town. I schooled in University of Ilorin, and I'm from Nigeria, where like the bubbling city for commerce is Lagos, Nigeria. And so I was able to actually from Ilorin serve a market that was in Lagos State because I knew how to package. Now, one interesting thing that I recall is that my fiance at the time was a graphic designer. You may hear like some sound, it's raining, but let's enjoy it. This is like storytelling time. Bring out your popcorn. So he was a graphic designer and he taught me how to use like Photoshop and all of that good stuff to design. And this was my first encounter with knowing what it meant to package, create something beautiful to put an impression on people's hearts. Because of that, when I started this bridal business, I gave it like a really nice name. I went online to find like a lovely name. It was Jav Bridals. I had a website. We had a good online presence. I knew how to get my suppliers pictures, and use them well. So essentially, I knew what it was to position my business to attract premium clients, even though I was in a side of the world where I had no business doing that. It's interesting how that has served me many years down the line. Further down the line, I finished med school. I decided that it's time for me to further my career as a doctor. My plan was actually to go to the UK or the US just to serve there because I preferred that environment. It was more conducive for my dreams and my goals. But that didn't work out because I found it difficult getting a placement for my house job. That's a compulsory internship that I must go through and all that. It was very, very time wasting. For like 6 months plus, I kept going, writing exams, trying to find a placement for something that was compulsory, and this was due to the broken system in my country because ideally, I should have just gotten a placement immediately after school. But I've already proven myself, I've passed my final exams. This shouldn't have been an issue. But I got to a point where I realized, Kiva, are you going to let this system define you? Are you going to sit here and keep wasting time, wasting your life? Or are you going to take your life into your own hands? Thankfully for me, because I had encountered the power of the internet, I knew that there was something I could do where I could defy all the rules. And so continuing my online business at that point became an option. I had shut things down temporarily to focus on my career as a doctor, but now I needed to call that back. So I decided that, I'm going to focus on this and let's see how it goes. Maybe this is God telling me something. It was very difficult, but I remember that I had the support of my fiance because he had also done medicine, but he had left the life of working in the hospital to work in health insurance. He was trying to find himself. I mean, my husband currently works in tech. He's a product manager, but he was discovering himself at the time. And so he was also able to give me ginger, because my parents were not giving me the ginger I needed. They were like, doctor, you have to be a doctor, prestigious vocation. They wanted a better life for me and all that. But thank God I heeded the voice of going against the tides. And then I decided to focus on the wedding dress business. Now, a few months into that, I realized that there was opportunity to pivot into wedding jewelry. It was more profitable, it was lighter. I was still serving the same market, so I didn't need to start from scratch. So Zavandi was born. Now, Zavandi is a name that we just came up with, just playing with alphabets. People ask me till today, what's the meaning? I just thought, it means sophisticated. But hey, Zavandi, we literally just, my fiance and I at the time just sat down, this sounds good, this sounds great. I'm good at branding, y'all. At the time, I remember we were called Rings.ng. I had to figure out how to make this business work. I tell people that I'm a brilliant marketer today because I had to sit down with this thing. I had to attend trainings. I had to get mentors. I had to experiment because I needed to make that money. A little bit of it was the pressure of proving myself. Yes, I was confident in what I was doing, but I also needed to see results. So after sitting down with marketing, I was able to figure things out. I remember then I built our website. Our current website right now, which is long overdue for an overhaul, was built by me. You should probably check it out before we upgrade it. I had built the website. I had handled all of our marketing. At some point I needed help, right? So I outsourced our SEO. Anyway, less than 10 months of just sitting down to focus. We were already doing 10K plus in revenue at the time. This was me fresh out of school. I was still dilemma stage. It was making make sense. And our profit at the end of the day was also very good because this was an online business where we had little to no inventory. It was e-commerce. Now, within that same period, I got the award for e-commerce in Nigeria. It was brilliant. My dad was proud. He was beaming. We took pictures. And I think that this was one thing that made my parents believe that, okay, Kiva knows what she's doing, let her continue. One important story I have to tell, which I don't really talk to people about, is how we failed at some point. So Zavandi was doing very, very well. 3 years, 4 years, and then COVID hit. Now, one thing I had mastered was how to make money. But I had not mastered the art of managing money. So to an extent, I was good at managing money, but one thing I wasn't doing so well was not letting the lines get blurred. I was paying myself a salary actually, so I checked that box. But there were times where I needed to do things. I had projects and I will dip into money because I had not clearly defined, we need to have reserves for XYZ, or this is how we're planning for expansion. So we had an expansion plan that we needed to execute. We were in a very good side of town, but it was a small space, and we needed to move to somewhere that was more conspicuous, where we had good foot traffic. And I remember that we had emptied out all the business bank accounts. So I keep saying we because my husband and I are co-founders of Zavandi, even though right now, he's sort of transitioned to greater things, but we co-founded together. And so at the time, he was the one doing structure and I was the one, handling the marketing. When we had this expansion, I hadn't really done a money plan. I had a vision and I knew like this is what we need to do. But I wasn't like looking at, okay, do we need to have a margin of error? What if this plan fails? Will we run into trouble with money and all of that? And so smack after we had moved to this bigger space, we had spent a lot of money. We were still in the process of decorating. We were excited. People were like, oh my God, this is huge. COVID hit. You guys, we shut down, 0 operations for 4 months because people weren't getting married. I remember we had maybe like 1 or 2 sales coming every month, but from a place where we were having like 20 to 30 sales a month, a lot of them being very, very high ticket sales. Imagine like going from that to just having 2 sales or maybe 5, some months, or maybe 0. We literally like shut down. It was really bad, you guys. One saving grace that I had was that at this time, I was already being known for being a good marketer. I was already consulting for people and I already had a dream to start an agency. So I remember that the year before COVID, I had done the branding for my agency. I had built some of my clients or my friends officially to consult for them. And so the year that COVID struck was when I announced to the world that, hey, you guys, like we're running with this agency goal. And then it was the next month that COVID hit. Let me tell you what was interesting. It was interesting because my agency was serving the online course market. So I was serving coaches and course creators. I now had a new business that was booming because if you recall, during COVID, people were buying online courses. People that had online courses to create were really selling their courses. We literally went from 0 to me having 5K clients, 3K clients without even having to convince people too far. Oh, talking about salaries for Zavandi, my first business. Did I mention that Zavandi was actually doing really well? I had proper structure. Business was running without me. We were using tech for everything. So I could see at a glance what was going on without being physically present. Again, this is one of the reasons why I really know what it is to have systems in place. Anyway, fast forwarding through COVID, we had some really tough spots because we had like this credit facility that the factory we partner with in Hong Kong to produce our wedding jewelry. We just couldn't meet up with that due to the effect of COVID. It wasn't pretty. I literally nearly lost my mind. When I was working at the agency, it felt like I was under pressure to perform and that money was needed to just support everything else. It was really stressful, Right now, we've come out of it. We're planning because at some point I realized, oh my gosh, we have backlog of bills to pay. And if something doesn't give, I'm going to be in trouble. So I had to really sit down and be like, Kiva, you can't keep repeating the same mistakes. For Zavandi, I had to let some people go until we recover from the effect of COVID. So that sort of ensured that I wasn't spending too much in overhead. I don't want to dabble into too much, right? You've heard my success story about how I made money, how I almost lost it all. But thanks to God, I had this other business that was also bringing in massive, massive income. And so I was able to apply all the knowledge that I had learned in building my previous businesses to just ensure that I had an agency that was also well structured and serving my clients well. I knew what it was to package a premium service to deliver an elevated client experience to the people I was serving. So very quickly, I'd like to highlight some of the factors that I've been able to identify as helped with my success. The first one is mindset. Part of the things that you can do to help if you think you struggle with seeing how you can take your business far is find people that have gone ahead of you and they've achieved the same level of success. Do not limit this to your geography or to your immediate circle. A formula that you could use is, who are the top 3 people in the industry you currently serve across the world? Ask yourself the same question. Who are the top 3 people across your continent? Who are the top 3 people in your country? And then understudy them. I've understudied businesses that have been around for over 183 years. I know one of the people we understudy is like 183, and everybody on my team goes through those case studies because I needed my team to see what I was seeing. And this is tying into vision. You need to write the vision and make it plain, because if you're clear on where you're going, what you're trying to achieve, you need to be able to repeat that to your team every now and then, to everywhere you go. When you're speaking with investors, if you're getting investors, to whoever cares to listen, you need to be able to describe your vision to them and let them understand what it is that you're trying to do. Your vision should also be written down, because there should be a handbook that everybody who joins your team is reading. They have that and they understand where you're going. The second or the third thing I would say is invest in yourself. The investment in knowledge, it pays the best dividends. Because here I am today, Every single thing I spent money, I paid money for a coach, I paid money to some program just to learn how to build my first business, has made me who I am today. I would never have discovered my love for marketing if I wasn't curious about how to grow my business. I would never have known how to put systems in place if I wasn't joining programs to help me learn how to do that. And even right now, as I speak to you, as I'm recording this video, I'm a part of 2 or 3 other communities where I'm paying subscriptions just because I want to keep learning. I need to be on my toes. The next thing I would say is maximize digital. The digital ecosystem today, it's an enabler. I see people running business, they're saying, oh, I'm fine without a website, but you can have one and get more results than what you're currently getting. So why won't you use one? There are various ways you can use tech to enhance everything you do. Go for it. If you don't know how to do it, then get someone to help you. In my case, I was young enough to learn these things. I was curious, I was fearless, so I was going for it. But if you're not, that agile right now, and you need to outsource, then by all means do that. Get someone on your team that can help you maximize the digital ecosystem to grow your business. The next thing I would say is leverage systems. One book I'm going to recommend when it comes to systems, having processes, standard operating procedures in your business is a book called E-Myth Revisited. This book is a life changer. I recommend it to every single person that asks me, Kiva, how are you able to grow your business so fast? Because I remember when my partner at the time, my husband, my co-founder, had seen how I was just doing business anyhow, he recommended this book to me. I realized that I needed to document every single thing. Till today, when I'm talking to my team member and I'm correcting something, I tell her, like, you need to update the SOP, you need to do this, you need to do that. So we are always documenting processes to just ensure that everything we do is repeatable. As we have more people joining the team, we're able to repeat these processes without having to regurgitate it over and over again. Recording tutorials so that your new team members can digest those tutorials. Systems is like a whole new topic. You can let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a video on systems. I don't consider myself a systems guru, but I have results in terms of when it comes to leveraging systems in my business. Now, another thing is your circle. You can think of a circle in terms of concentric circles. It spreads out. Who are the people you surround yourself with? Are they giving you the support that you need? What are their goals? Are their goals similar to yours? I've heard someone say that friendships can be in buckets, where you can have friends that are gingering you towards your business goals, and you can have friends that are maybe gingering you because you're a parent or you're a wife and all of that. Well, whatever works for you. But you must have 1 or 2 people that are just as serious about their business as you are. They have an expanded mind, a great vision just like you do, because if you don't, you'll be so lonely, and there'll be times where you feel like maybe you're crazy and maybe everything you're trying to do just doesn't make sense. If you don't have any such friend, then maybe you need to join communities where you can meet new people. Right? Remember that your circle will not expand if you don't expand it. So that's a good way to do that. But in terms of networking, networking may not be my strongest part, to be honest. Let me just confess now, because I'm very introverted. You may not believe it. I know how to switch on the extrovert when I need to, but I'm very reserved, and I'm not that person that like goes out to say, oh, I want to network every time. However, I think that I found that along my journey, people just get drawn to me. Something about me just sort of gives like this trustworthy vibe. So I've found that even in times where I've had to reach out to people that are not exactly in my circle to say, let's collaborate or whatnot, I typically get a yes. Maybe you can tell me what it is that people see, but I find that I don't really struggle in the area of reaching people outside my immediate circle. And then the final thing is be committed. My first business is still very successful till date. I think it will be 6 years, if not 7. And then my agency is probably going to be 3 years, in a couple of months. I find that one unspoken ingredient that has helped me really excel in business is that I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not just in this to put food on the table. Yes, that's important. When I'm thinking about a business, I'm already thinking about 10 years from now. I'm already thinking about how I'm going to pass the baton. What's my goal at the end of this business? Do I want to exit and sell? Do I want to bring on someone who will be the CEO? Do I want to be known for this business, or this is what will be on the back end? Because, for example, you may have known me for years and you didn't even know that there was Zavandi, right? So it's like, how does this business tie into my long-term goals? The moment you decide that you're in this for the long haul, you start to move different, because you don't do things halfway. And I think that it shows even with your clients. When you are like committed, you are giving something your all. And finally, I have to credit God, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, and I think that the spirit of wisdom has always helped me know the best step to take. I just find that I can't point to so many times where I can say I took a step and it was such a waste. Even when I talk about the things I did that did not do well, I can tell you how I've been able to bounce from it just because I have this inner strength that feeds into everything I do. So I think that there is this place of the spiritual in everything we do. It's like that invisible that feeds what people see on the physical. Yeah, that's it. That's my story. That's how I was able to make 10K in the first 10 months of starting my business. But hey, I've even got beyond 10K. That's truth. What I've built now is beyond 10K because I've built a business right now that runs without me, which is why I'm able to focus on my agency. And within the first few months of running my agency, we were already doing way better than this other business was doing, and this was even in terms of profits, not just revenue. I hope you enjoyed my story. Let me know in the comments what part of my story stood out most to you. Were you able to relate to any parts of my story? Is there something you'd like me to share more on? Let me know. See you in the next video. Cheers.